Welcome to the 2017 Cowboy Fast Draw National Championship Show. The boys and girls are back where it all started in Deadwood, South Dakota. And over the next 30 minutes, we'll show you the sights, the sounds, and the people who make up the sport that mixes the atmosphere of the Old West and modern technology. Good evening, I'm David Brown, but as always, in the spirit of the competition, I'll adopt the alias this year of Dakota Dave. 2017 marked the 15th anniversary of the Cowboy Fast Draw Association, and the history of the sport can best be told by its original founder and its current executive director.
I'm the founder. I've shot fast draw for 30 years. When I was a kid, I'd get up in the morning and watch the early morning westerns. So one day I said to my dad, you know, why don't I have a saddle? Why do I have to ride bareback? And he said, "You're not the Lone Ranger yet." He says, "You're gonna have to be Kimosabe and ride bareback for a while."
I go by Quick Cal. They gave me that name when I was a teenager, and it stuck with me through my whole shooting career. Cowboy Fast Draw was basically the reform of a sport that had been around for 60 years.
In '97, I started working on rules, talking to old shooters from way back, what they enjoyed the most. The old stories are where this came from. I put things together. Wrote a rule book, 98, 99, did the legal work, did trial contests in 2000 and 2001, and then broke it into a full organization in 2002.
We got back to the real guns of the time period of the Old West, along with holster designs. And of course we have new technology. You see our digital timing equipment, and right to the thousandths of a second, and our audience displays. And so we learn as we go. We have built and innovated a lot.
The real fun is getting on that line with somebody. You're shooting against someone else, but the real opponent is that target. And at 21 feet, 7 paces, gunfighter distance, we use 45s, single action, 1800 style revolvers, and rigs, we call them, holsters, and kept the dress 1800s, and that's kind of the fun of it. So people get to come here and be somebody else, have fun, but it's the heart and soul of this organization are the people.
Gunslingers are kind of independent thinkers in a way, and I believe herding cats is easier than herding gunslingers.
The hook is learning to react to that light, training yourself, sharpen your reactions to be fast and accurate.
This is where our sport was founded, was here in Deadwood, South Dakota. You'll find it on our logo still, with Deadwood 2002 on our logo. And so all of our membership knows that this is where Cowboy Fast Draw was founded.
I kept the organization until 2006. I knew there was only one person that could carry this on, Cal Elrich.
I've been involved in shooting sports for next year it'll be 50 years. So I brought with me to the job the experience of running other shooting organizations and major tournaments around the country. When I took it over from Brad, we had just shy of 300 members in the Cowboy Fast Draw Association. Now we're issuing badge numbers in the 5100s. So the game has really grown in this last 11 years. And this is in my heart and soul. I mean, we call it the CFDA family. It's in all of our hearts. And to have the honor of the members of CFDA to trust in my leadership, I truly appreciate it. Go to cowboyfastdraw.com. And it's just that simple. There's all kinds of videos to watch to learn about the sport. You can join Cowboy Fast Draw Association right there. And you get a pick of 3 choices of aliases, because you can't repeat someone else's alias. It's only $59.50 your first year. You get a numbered badge, you get a membership card back, and your alias, no one else can have it, as long as you keep up your membership in the organization. And so that's all there is to get involved, or find a local Cowboy Fast Draw club near you, and they also have means to sign up members right on their location.
So here's how the Wax Bullet Cowboy Fast Draw Championships are scored. Each range has 6 different targets, consisting of 3 different one-on-one matchups. Those matchups are a best-of-5 series, meaning whomever records the 3 fastest times in that series gets the win. the loser gets an X on the record. Once a competitor has 4 X's, in other words losing 4 matches, they are out of the competition. The tournament continues in that fashion until it's whittled down to the Magnificent 7, the top shooters in each division. We'll have highlights from this year's Magnificent 7 a little later in our show. Well, when we come back, character matters, and the characters you meet in Cowboy Fast Draw have aliases that fit their personalities. Find out what's behind the name next.
Cowboy Fast Draw on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sioux Falls Premier Rodeo. Cowboy Fast Draw on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sioux Falls Premier Rodeo.
Welcome back to the 2017 Cowboy Fast Draw Championship Show. When you think of the Old West, names come to mind like Cool Hand Luke, Doc Holliday, and Billy the Kid. And in that spirit, more than 2,000 different aliases are used on the Cowboy Fast Draw circuit. We caught up with a couple of competitors to tell us about their aliases and why they chose them.
Mine is BA. Capital B, capital A. That goes back to when I was in the Marine Corps, and my real name is Anthony Brzezowskis, and Lord, they couldn't say that. So they switched the initials backwards, and now it's BA, and that was a lot easier. As you can imagine, BA is strung out to any imaginable combinations that you could put together on that.
It's Blaze. I think a friend helped me out with it. I have red hair, and I wanted a single alias name. Some people have double names, and I really wanted to have single alias. So somebody came up with Blaze, and I went, I like it. And so it stuck.
My Cowboy Fast Draw alias is BOOTHILL BRYCE. Just a variation on my name. I just kind of figured, just being cocky, figured if you shoot against me, you'll end up in BOOTHILL, which doesn't happen very often to people. But
when I first started, I didn't know how I was going to be, so I didn't want to set any expectations. So I was like, I'm just going to be slowpoke. It'll either work out or it won't.
It's actually from an old Nat Funicello Beach Blanket Bingo movie. Buddy gave it to me years ago. He was a character in an old surf movie, and I don't surf.
My real name is Johnny Jesse James. My alias is Jesse James. And that's what I go by. It's Jesse James all over the United States, because we're in, besides CFDA, we do Reenactment Guild of America, RGA. So my fiance and I are reenactors plus fast draw artists. So we get to join both fields.
I was assigned that name. I've been doing reenacting for years, and my group gave me the name Sassy. When I joined CFDA about 4 years ago, Jesse, my fiance, gave me the pants, because there was another Sassy in the CFDA membership, and I had to have another name with it. So he gave me the pants part, because he says I was a sassy pants woman.
Part-time, and I hit part of the time. It sounded good, yeah.
Debbie Sue, as in Sioux Indian. My family is Sioux, plus my middle name's Suzanne, and when I was young, my mom and dad, or my dad's side of the family, called me Debbie Sue. And so I just kind of changed it from S-U-E to S-I-O-U-X for Sioux Indian.
I started shooting when I was 67. And so I thought, well, they have stories of the Old West, tales of the Old West, and I'm old, and I'm a West. I mean, it just all fell together. That's the whole idea is you get to be somebody else for the weekend. I get to be Old West, you know, I get to be a fast draw guy, you know, so. And then I get to see Short Keg and Buzzard Cooper and all these other guys, you know, so it's kind of funny. I know most of the people I know here by their alias. I have no idea what their real name is, you know. So that's kind of fun.
So you have your name, but now you've got to look the part. Why having period clothing is essential in Cowboy Fast Draw, next.
Cowboy Fast Draw on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sioux Falls Premier Rodeo.
Welcome back. You've picked out your alias, and now you're ready to take the next step by stepping into Old West apparel. T-shirts, shorts, and sweatshirts simply will not cut it in a Cowboy Fast Draw competition. It not only wouldn't feel right, it wouldn't look right.
I think it adds to the atmosphere. It's actually in the rule book. You have to dress the part to shoot. But it's a lot of fun. I mean, you get to pretend you're somebody you're not for a weekend and have fun and strap on a gun and go gunslinging.
You see the people that dress up, and it makes you feel like you're in that era. It's different when you're here than, you know, seeing each other on the street. It's a different here.
You want an immersive experience. You want to not only enjoy the game, but you want to enjoy the part of the history And to be perfectly honest, I think the retro style clothing is pretty neat. I mean, people were a little bit more eloquent, you know, and articulate back then, and it's just, I think it's just neat to kind of resurrect some of that.
All us ladies always trying to outdo each other. I feel like we're always like, oh, great outfit.
It's just fun, and it makes you a part of the group.
The fashion really is a big part of this. We all want to look the period correct. You can go from working cowboy to the glitzy glamour of the gamblers or the ladies of the evening. Depending on the weather, I'll either be the school marm or I might be the, the saloon girl. So, you know, it just matches your mood or the persona that you want to put out there for people.
This is the nicest I actually get to dress. The rest of the time I'm an old range cowboy chasing cattle all over the place for about 5-6 weeks. So there's a different smell, you know what I mean?
Well, I've got the scarf to keep the rain out, but this the bib was the old cowboy used to wear these bib shirts because they'd be out in the range, they come back into town, they could just take the bib off, then they have a clean shirt. So that was how this thing got started. And of course they try to do, you know, period correct, so you have suspenders. There's no zippers, no Velcro. I mean, they didn't even do belt loops till 1922.
I don't know if y'all know about ladies' corsets. Back in the day, they sucked them in and they weren't always worn on the outside of your clothes, but nowadays they're so pretty, most of us ladies like to wear them on the outside.
I dress more the working cowboy style, and I'm not much of a fashion guy. I mean, I can wear the same thing all week long. It's just nobody else likes it.
I kind of evolved. I started out with blue jeans, but a ruffly blouse with big billowy shoulder sleeves and, you know, a belt or something. And then I kind of moved on to riding skirt, you know, with that you could tie up real easily. And then I, you know, was watching how some other ladies dressed, and I loved some of the stuff that they did and the hats and everything. You know, I have cowboy hats, I have all kinds of hats.
Mine is inspired, you know, want to dress a little fancier, you know, keep it on the fancy side. It's just a regular frock coat for men, you know, and a fancy vest. And back in the day, unless you hit gold, you had maybe 1 or 2 sets of clothes if you were lucky. But these here, I get these around from different vendors that we go to.
I like to dress up. I don't shoot that well a lot of times, but I always say if you can't shoot good, you better look good. And I love the dress up part of it.
We have the advantages of the modern day culture with all the fun and glamour of the Old West. So yes, you do get that extra enhanced feel with people. You kind of go back and pretend that you know you're walking down the streets of Deadwood dressed like they would have been dressed back then, but you know we still have our cell phones out taking pictures of everything and enjoying that.
Getting dressed up for a match is kind of a tough thing. My wife brought 8 outfits and I had 14. The reason is I have no idea what mood I'm going to be in until, well, I wake up that morning, have a monster drink, and start putting it on. From hats to boots, every day is a new experience. And it's really kind of neat because you can change your whole outlook for the day, just the way the spurs jingle or the hat's tipped. You know, sometimes a tie or no tie. You know, sometimes you feel like you're important, and other times, well, you're just Curly Calhoun having fun with a gun.
So how quickly can someone learn Cowboy Fast Draw? Find out after the break as our own Carla Metz tries her hand.
Cowboy Fast Draw on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sioux Falls Premier Rodeo.
Welcome back. Well, earlier in our show, you heard Quick Cal mention the steps it takes to become a Cowboy Fast Draw member. And while she's not a full-fledged member, at least not yet anyway, our own Carla Metz took some time to get acclimated to the surroundings of Deadwood and try her hand at being Cool Hand Carla.
So you put this on, and I'm going to get you a top. We're going to go cowgirl. So you put that on first, and it'll be easier if you put this over your head once you have the petticoat on. And then we're bringing you a shirt. Here's a frilly ruffled blouse. All right? You get that on. Come on out, and we're going to corset you up. Oh, you look pretty, Carla. That color's awesome on you. Okay, we're going to put your corset on, and the knot always goes at the bottom. Okay. So now what you do is you'd holster up, put your holster on your hips here, and you're ready to go cowboy shoot.
Ready to go?
Yes, you look great.
There's two different ways you can do it. You can have your thumb like that, or you can have your thumb on the side. It depends on how it feels comfortable. And you want to have your hand on the grip. You want to pull the hammer back as the gun comes up. So go ahead and pull it up. Now let go of the hammer and pull the trigger. You're going to open up the loading gate. You're going to pull that sideways. Okay, and then the cylinder will spin freely. So hold it with your left hand. Okay, give you a bullet and just slip it into each cylinder. Sometimes you got to move them around a little bit. Okay, now turn it a little bit. It'll go this way to the next one. Okay, and you'll put another one in.
Shooters on the line. Shooters set.
All right.
Oh, and it's 2 good hits. Carla comes in there with a 1.855. That's a Tuesday shot on a Sunday morning right there.
It was a fun and exciting weekend in Deadwood, and we'll find out who the last man and woman standing was. Highlights of the Magnificent Seven are next. Welcome back to the 2017 Cowboy Fast Draw Championship Show. It's now time to watch the best of the best go at it in the Magnificent Seven. Here's some highlights from the best shooters in the country. Our first shoot-off featured the Annie Oakley division for girls, and here's a list of the top 6 entering the final day. She wasn't able to record a win in her first 2 matches, but South Dakota's Pebbles did the Rushmore State proud, finishing in 6th place. After Pebbles, another South Dakota shooter rounded out the final standings. Baby Boulder comes in 5th place. An upset of sorts after that. Colorado native Wild Child, who entered as the 2nd seed, finishes in 4th place. Our top 3 featured a couple of overachievers. Emmy J from South Dakota started as the 6th seed and even came back from a 2-0 deficit against Wild Child during the matchup. She ends up in 3rd place. The championship matchup featured the 4 seed Ladybug out of Kentucky against the number 1 seed Dusty out of Colorado. And Ladybug simply couldn't traverse the Dusty trail. She finishes in 2nd, while Dusty is your Annie Oakley Division champion for the 3rd straight year. On to the Billy the Kid division, which featured the top 4 competitors with all 4 representing different states. It's no question that Mr. E-Shot has one great name, and he had one great finish as the California Kid took home 4th place. The Dismal River Kid may be named after the waterway's namesake in Nebraska, but there was nothing dismal about his performance as he finishes in 3rd. That set up a championship match between the 4-seed Roadrunner Wrangler out of Arizona and the Texas shooter known as Dash. And in a competition between fast names and fast shooters, Dash outran the Roadrunner, coming back from a 2-1 deficit to win the match 3-2 and the 2017 Billy the Kid National Championship. On to the ladies division, and here's where things stood heading into the final 7. Ricochet Rose out of California didn't quite bloom in the championship, but still finished in 7th place. The only women's competitor from South Dakota, Sagebrush, was the 6th seed coming in and finishes in the same spot. The chalk continued with Dakota Rose, who despite her name hails from Wisconsin. She winds up in 5th place. Plain Jane from Texas was anything but, finishing in the middle of the pack in 4th place. The bullets may be wax, but the shooter known as a lot of lead had plenty of ammo to go around. The Nevada shooter winds up in 3rd place. That set up a championship between 2015 national champion Lefty Lipscomb out of Idaho and the Virginia shooter known as Slowpoke. As the lower seed, Lefty needed to win twice to take home the crown, and she did her part at first with a 3-1 victory over Slowpoke to set up a winner-take-all match. But the fastest draw went to the slowest name. Slowpoke comes back with her own 3-1 victory for the national championship, including a final shot win by just 0.02 of a second.
You know, there's really no words to describe what you feel when you're up there. You're just so engaged in the moment and the shooting and the adrenaline and the light. And then when it's all over, it just hits you. It's like, oh my gosh, I just did this. And just you feel thankful, excited, relieved that it's over. It's an amazing feeling. I love it.
And finally, the men's championship, which featured these 7 competitors, including 3 South Dakotans. And while the first of those was named Lucky O'Reilly, his luck ran out toward the end, finishing in 7th place. Victorious, 2 words, not 1, was only victorious 1 word over 1 other competitor, as the Arkansan winds up in 6th place. The Oregon Ranger was able to corral 2 competitors, but couldn't enforce the law after that, finishing in 5th. The Bounty Hunter from Idaho caught a few of his counterparts, but not all of them, as he winds up right in the middle of the pack in 4th place. A bit of an upset as we make our way to the top 3. Entering the finals as the number 1 seed, Snake Shooter out of Minnesota fell to South Dakota's Johnny Three Toes, the 5 seed, so Snake Shooter winds up in 3rd place. That set up an all South Dakota championship match between Johnny Three Toes and the Beaver Creek Kid. Cowboy Fast Draw's version of JTT had to win twice to take home the title, and he started off with a clean sweep, a 3-0 win to set up a sudden death matchup. And it literally came down to 1 final shot. With the score tied 2-2 and everything on the line, Johnny Three Toes nailed his target, while the Beaver Creek Kid missed his. JTT claws his way up from the number 5 seed to a national championship. Not bad for someone who's only been shooting for 3 years.
We just started a club down in Edgemont, South Dakota, and you know, prior to this time I've been to state shoots and territorial shoots, and I've maybe placed in the top 25 once in a while, but nothing of this caliber.
Well, it's time once again to ride off into the sunset. For more information on Cowboy Fast Draw, remember to go to cowboyfastdraw.com. Until next time, I'm Dakota Dave, signing off.